That's right, and MPs debating this for the whole of today. This is about the detail of how that referendum will work, who can vote in it, for example, what the question will be. But there are many MPs straying into broader territory, talking about the UK's relationship with the EU, and some saying that it's only right that the British public have a say in a referendum because that relationship has changed so dramatically since 1975, the last time, of course, that there was a vote. Well, let's discuss this a bit more with the UKIP MP Douglas Carswell. On the actual detail of this bill, do you think that the government's got it right when it comes to who should vote? Because many are saying that 16 and 17-year-olds should be allowed to vote.
In terms of deciding who should vote, I do think the government's got that right. Even on the issue of timing, I think it's right that we are reasonable and give the government a measure of flexibility. Where I think the government's got it wrong, and where I think it makes it clear that David Cameron will do anything to try to get the result he wants, is to do with to some extent the wording, but even more important, the way in which they're going to allow the civil servants, government officials, to actively campaign for an in result. In other words, there aren't just going to be two in campaigns, the official in campaign. The whole machinery of the state is going to be used to get David Cameron the result he wants. And I think that's wrong, and I think that's something where the government, if the government wants this to be seen as free and fair rather than a fixed referendum, the government's going to have to give some ground.
But even Labour are saying that it's only right that the government is able to explain what's going on here and not using public money for leaflets, for example.
No one's suggesting that the government is going to be using propaganda. But what the government could do is they could get officials in the Foreign Office or the Bank of England or the Treasury to issue reports at just the right time to suggest that unless people do as government expects them to do, this could have all sorts of dire and drastic consequences. Now, I think that is really quite important because, the machinery of the state shouldn't be used as propaganda for what is a political stance. Now, I'm very grateful and pleased that the government has seen sense on so many of these issues, but if the government doesn't get this right, if the government allows the civil service to be used in the referendum campaign, I don't think people will see this as a free and fair referendum. I think people will see it as a fix, as a David Cameron fix. We already know that he will do anything to get the result he wants. Using civil servants to try and help him do that, it's just not fair play.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. So there are obviously voices of dissent in all of this, although there is broad agreement in the House of Commons that there should be a referendum. Of course, what we don't know is exactly when that will be held.